The Battle of Tours, also known as the Battle of Poitiers, occurred on October 10, 732 AD, near the city of Tours in present-day France. It was a significant military engagement between the Frankish forces led by Charles Martel and the invading army of the Umayyad Caliphate, commanded by Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi. The Umayyad forces had been advancing through Europe after successfully conquering parts of the Iberian Peninsula. Their goal was to expand Islamic influence further into Western Europe. As they moved northward, they encountered resistance from the Franks, a powerful Christian kingdom under the leadership of Charles Martel, who was the mayor of the palace and de facto ruler of the Frankish territories. Charles Martel was known as Charles the Hammer, was a Frankish statesman and military leader who played a crucial role in shaping medieval Europe. He is best known for his victory at the Battle of Tours in 732 AD, which halted the northward expansion of Islamic forces into Western Europe. Charles Martel was born around 688 AD. He was the illegitimate son of Pepin of Herstal, the mayor of the Palace of Austrasia and Alpeda. Charles belonged to the Carolingian dynasty, which would later produce Charlemagne, one of the most famous rulers of the Middle Ages. He had several children, including Pepin the Short, who became the father of Charlemagne. After the death of his father to natural causes in 714 AD, Charles faced opposition from rival factions, but eventually consolidated power by defeating his enemies in a series of battles. By 718 AD, he became the de facto ruler of the Frankish kingdoms as mayor of the palace. In 732 AD, Charles Martel led the Frankish forces against the Umayyad Caliphate's army, commanded by Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi, at the Battle of Tours. His victory is often credited with preserving Christianity in Europe and establishing his reputation as a formidable military leader. Charles Martel died on October 22, 741 AD. He was succeeded by his sons, Carloman and Pepin the Short. As a member of the Frankish nobility, Charles Martel was a Christian, and his actions were influenced by the religious context of the time. The Franks were staunch supporters of the Roman Catholic Church, and Charles maintained strong ties with the Church. He provided protection and support to the Christian missionaries and helped strengthen the Church's influence in his territories. Following his victory at Tours, Charles Martel was celebrated as a defender of Christendom. This battle reinforced his status as a protector of the Christian faith against external threats. He continued to support the Church and initiated reforms that strengthened its position within the Frankish realm. He granted lands and privileges to the Church, which helped consolidate his power and secure the loyalty of ecclesiastical leaders. Charles was a devout Catholic, as were most of the Frankish nobility during his time. His actions and policies were influenced by the teachings and traditions of the Roman Catholic Church. Charles supported Christian missionaries, such as Saint Boniface, who worked to spread Christianity throughout the Germanic territories. This support helped strengthen the Church's influence and expand its reach. Charles initiated reforms that bolstered the Church's position within his realm. He granted lands and privileges to the Church, which not only secured its loyalty, but also helped consolidate his power. He exercised control over ecclesiastical appointments, ensuring that loyal and capable individuals held key positions within the Church hierarchy. Charles Martel laid the groundwork for the Carolingian Renaissance, a period of cultural and intellectual revival that occurred under his descendants, particularly Charlemagne. This Renaissance was closely tied to the Church's influence and promotion of Christian learning. By 732, the Umayyad governor of Al-Andalus, Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi, led an expedition northward across the Pyrenees into the region of Aquitaine, part of modern-day France. The Umayyad forces aimed to plunder wealthy Frankish territories and potentially establish a foothold for further expansion. The Umayyads captured several cities and amassed considerable wealth, which increased their confidence. However, their incursions into Frankish lands alarmed local rulers, including Duke Odo of Aquitaine, who had previously suffered defeats at their hands. The Umayyad Caliphate, with its capital in Damascus, was one of the largest empires of its times. stretching from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the Indus River in the east. Following the rapid expansion of Islam after the death of Prophet Muhammad, the Umayyads continued to spread their influence through military conquests. In 711 AD, Muslim forces crossed the Strait of Gibraltar into the Iberian Peninsula, quickly defeating the Visigothic kingdom. By the early 8th century, most of the peninsula was under Umayyad control, known as Al-Andalus. The success of these campaigns emboldened the Umayyads to push further into Europe. The Frankish kingdom under Charles Martel during this period was a dominant power in Western Europe. However, it was politically fragmented, with real power held by the mayor of the palace rather than the Moravian kings. Charles Martel, who held this position, was a skilled military leader and strategist. He recognized the threat posed by the advancing Umayyad forces and began consolidating his power, reforming the Frankish military and securing alliances with other regional leaders. Charles Martel understood the strategic importance of stopping the Umayyad advance. He spent years building a professional army, emphasizing infantry over cavalry, which was unusual for the time. His forces were well-trained and disciplined, capable of standing firm against cavalry charges. Martel also secured support from various Frankish nobles and consolidated his control over the Frankish territories, ensuring he could muster a substantial force to confront the invaders. The battle took place near the city of Tours, close to Poitiers. Charles Martel chose a defensive position on high ground, forcing the Umayyad cavalry to charge uphill. This location was strategically advantageous, as it limited the effectiveness of the Umayyad cavalry, which relied on speed and mobility. The Frankish army formed a phalanx-like formation, creating a solid wall of shields and spears. This tactic was designed to absorb and repel the cavalry charges. The Umayyads, confident in their previous successes, launched repeated assaults on the Frankish lines, but struggled to break through. On the first day, there were likely small skirmishes as both sides tested each other's strength. Martel's forces engaged in hit-and-run tactics, using their knowledge of the terrain to ambush smaller groups of Muslim scout riders. On the second day, the Umayyad forces under the command of Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi attempted to use their superior numbers and cavalry to break through Charles Martel's lines. They launched frontal assaults aimed at disrupting the Frankish formations. The Franks remained steadfast, maintaining their defensive posture and waiting for an opportunity to counterattack. Martel relied on the discipline of his men. He ordered them to hold their positions firmly, resisting the urge to charge out and engage directly. Although primarily defensive, Martel used his cavalry strategically to flank the Muslim forces when opportunities arose. As the battle progressed over several days, fatigue began to set in for both armies. The Franks, however, benefited from their disciplined formations and strong morale, while the Umayyads faces challenges maintaining cohesion among their diverse troops. Martel understood the importance of morale in battle. By holding firm and demonstrating resilience, he instilled confidence in his men while sowing doubt among the Umayyad troops. On the final day, rumors spread within the Umayyad camp that their rear guard was being threatened, possibly by Frankish scouts or local militias. This caused confusion and panic among the Umayyad soldiers, leading to a disorganized retreat. Sensing the opportunity, Charles Martel ordered a counterattack, exploiting the chaos and driving the Umayyads from the field. During the retreat, Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi was killed, further demoralizing the Umayyad forces and ensuring a decisive Frankish victory. The loss of their leader contributed to the collapse of the Umayyad campaign in Gaul. Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi hailed from the Ghafiqi tribe, which was part of the larger Yemeni Arab community, and rose through the ranks due to his leadership skills and military prowess. He served in various capacities within the Umayyad administration in Al-Andalus. Prior to the Battle of Tours, Abdul Rahman was appointed as the governor of Al-Andalus. His tenure was marked by efforts to consolidate Umayyad control over the region and expand its influence northward into Frankish territories. As a military leader, Abdul Rahman led several successful campaigns across the Pyrenees into Gaul, capturing cities and amassing wealth. His expeditions were part of a broader strategy to extend Islamic rule further into Europe. While specific details about how he died are not extensively documented, it is generally believed that he fell in combat amidst the disorderly withdrawal of his forces. His death significantly contributed to the collapse of the Umayyad campaign at Tours. As a Muslim leader in the early 8th century, Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi would have been deeply influenced by Islamic teachings and principles. The Umayyad Caliphate under which he served was committed to spreading Islam and consolidating its territories. It is likely that he received religious education, typical of the time, which would include studying the Quran, Hadith, and Islamic jurisprudence. His military campaigns, including the one leading to the Battle of Tours, were part of the broader Islamic expansion known as jihad, which was both a spiritual and political endeavor aimed at spreading Islam. As a governor and military leader, his role would have required him to embody Islamic values and serve as a model for others, integrating spiritual beliefs with leadership duties. In summary, while detailed accounts of Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi's spiritual development are scarce, his life and career were undoubtedly shaped by Islamic faith, which provided both the ideological framework and motivation for his military endeavors. Central to his faith would be the belief in Tawhid, the oneness of God, which is the fundamental concept in Islam. He would have believed in the prophethood of Muhammad as the final messenger of Allah, whose teachings and life serve as a model for Muslims. As a devout Muslim, he would have observed the 5 pillars of Islam, which include the declaration of faith, Shahada, prayer, Salah, fasting during Ramadan, Psalm, almsgiving, Zakat, and pilgrimage to Mecca, Hajj, if possible. As governor, he would have been responsible for implementing Sharia law, the Islamic legal system, ensuring justice and governance according to the Islamic principles, and serving under the Umayyad Caliphate. His beliefs would align with the Sunni interpretation of Islam, which was the predominant in the Caliphate's territories.
Now, many of you may know that it's not smart to get your information from just one source, and I would have to agree, which is why I contacted a professor buddy of mine to inform you on the subject a little bit more.
Just need looking. Oh, this. Hello, children. My name is Professor Zeke, and I am from the University of West Point. My military specialty is training young officers in the field to know about the history of battle tactics so that they may implement new ones in new fields. Today I will be instructing a young class in front of me that you cannot see, and I will allow you to sit in on my presentation on why I think that the Battle of Tours is the most significant battle to ever have happened for the Christian faith. So, without further ado, I will begin. Now, class, one of the most immediate implications of the Battle of Tours was its role in halting the northward expansion of Islam into Western Europe. And as you know, us Germans, we know a lot about expanding into Europe. Following the rapid conquests across North Africa and the Iberian Peninsula, Muslim forces posed a significant threat to Christian territories. Charles Martel's victory ensured that the Frankish lands remained under Christian control, preventing the establishment of an Islamic state in what is now France. By stopping the Umayyad advance, Martel preserved the integrity of Christian kingdoms in Europe. This preservation allowed for the continued development of Christian culture, theology, and governance. Without the influence of Islamic rule, the Battle of Tours contributed significantly to the formation of a distinct Christian identity in Europe. In the aftermath of the battle, there was a growing recognition for need of solidarity among Christian rulers and communities. The outcome of the battle had profound political consequences that would shape the future of Europe. Charles Martel's victory solidified his power, established the Carolingian dynasty, which would later produce Charlemagne. Under the Carolingians, there was a concerted effort to spread Christianity through conquest and conversion. The church became intertwined with the state, leading to the establishment of the Christian Empire that sought to unify Europe under one faith. The Battle of Tours represents more than just a military victory. It symbolizes the resilience of the Christian faith in the face of adversity. The battle played a crucial role in preserving Christian territories and fostering a unified Christian identity. Thank you for joining in. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you could learn something from that. Now, I must get back to my other activities. Thank you.
The Battle of Tours was a turning point in European history. It effectively halted the northward expansion of Islam into Western Europe, preserving the region's Christian character. The victory enhanced Charles Martel's reputation and solidified his power, laying the foundation for the Carolingian Empire. This battle is often credited with ensuring that Western Europe remained predominantly Christian, influencing the cultural and religious landscape for centuries to come. It also demonstrated the effectiveness of infantry-based tactics against cavalry, reshaping military strategies in the medieval period.
If you find that you like my content, click below